I'm Captain Intrigue. In this episode, I'll be showing you one of my older suits of armor, the Mark 0.4.
I am Captain Intrigue.
So I've actually built 6 suits of armor prior to building the Mark 1. This is suit number 4, which I call the Mark 0.4, Powered Armored Crisis Suit, or PAX for short, and it's inspired by Iron Man's War Machine armor. But unfortunately I don't have any video of this suit, and I only have a few pictures of it. This entire suit is made from half-inch aluminum strips that I bent by hand. In fact, I built this entire suit using just simple tools like a hammer, vise, hacksaw, a drill, and a soldering iron. The aluminum structure had 2 layers to it. The first layer had thin aluminum flashing attached to the framework, and it was backed with a foam padding. This made the suit very good at defending against blunt trauma attacks. Somebody could hit the suit hard with a baseball bat and the armor would just absorb and distribute the impact over a large area to dissipate the trauma, so it would barely be felt by the person wearing it. The stomach area of this suit was made from half-inch thick stitched padding with aluminum plates sewn into it. This allowed the stomach to be very flexible, but it was still stab-proof. My plan was to eventually cover the entire aluminum structure in hard molded Kevlar bulletproof plates, but I just never got around to it. One of the problems is that the suit was heavy. It weighed about 40 pounds. If I would have installed the bulletproof plates, it would have been quite a bit more than that. This suit used a modular weapon system where weapons modules could be quickly attached onto locking rails that were mounted throughout the armor. I did this so that the armor could be customized for specific missions where certain weapons or sensors might be needed. In fact, I had a bunch of cool detachable sensor modules that I tested out, but most of them just weren't very practical. I also had a simple voice changer built into the helmet. You can see the speaker built into the chest. For weapons, it had a fold-out wrist-mounted taser, a wrist-mounted flamethrower, wrist-mounted pepper spray. It had a motorized shoulder turret linked to the helmet so that it would point wherever I looked. The turret also housed a modular weapons mount designed for paintball guns. This suit also had an 8-barrel concussion gun which would launch packets of mini firecrackers 20 feet to intimidate an attacker. There was also a wrist-mounted fireworks launcher that shot fireballs from my left gauntlet. And this suit also used a liquid cooling system built into the armor that was capable of cooling the suit in hot weather and warming it in cold weather. The helmet had a comm system to communicate with a remote base and a police scanner to listen to police and fire dispatch. The gauntlets, boots, and helmets were all detachable using quick disconnects, so I could disassemble them to work on them or to load them up before I would get into the suit. The suit had an onboard computer with voice recognition, but it was very slow and not very reliable. The helmet had a very primitive form of amplified hearing, but no night vision. So I never really completely finished the suit. As I got close to finishing it, I realized that it was becoming way too heavy, and by the time I would have added the bulletproof armor, it would have been even heavier. It had also become obsolete because at this point I had figured out better ways of building it. But it did teach me a lot of important lessons on armor building. The biggest mistake I made was that I built the entire suit first, and then I started building and installing the weapons. That was a huge mistake because it's impossible to know the final form of the weapons until you actually build them and get them working properly. So I should have built the weapons first and got them all working and then built the armor around the weapons instead of trying to cram them into a specific armor shape. And that actually led me to learn a very important lesson in armor building. Form always follows function. In other words, you need to first make the weapons work and then see what shape they have and then start figuring out how you can build armor around them. So I actually considered this suit to be a failure since it had a lot of design problems, and that's why I categorize all my previous suits as the Mark Zeros. The Mark 1 is actually the first suit that I've completely finished and where everything works like it was designed to. So you're probably wondering where this suit is now. Well, I ended up scalping it and scrapping it for parts to build another suit after this, which I'll show you later in a future episode. It got to a point in my life where I was hauling 6 of these suits around everywhere I went, every time I moved somewhere, and it was just taking up way too much space, and they were collecting dust, and so I just ended up scalping them for parts and using that to build the next suit. So I want to talk about the importance of trying out new ideas. Sometimes you can design something in your mind and on paper and have everything all figured out, but once you build it, you discover little things that you had never thought of. For example, the motorized turret was a really cool feature I had on this suit. My original plan was to be able to attach a paintball gun to it so it would follow my helmet wherever I looked, or it could be operated independently by a remote gunner to help take out targets behind me or to the sides that I wasn't aware of. So the problem was that the turret and gun had a lot of mass to it, and I didn't think about that beforehand, and so when I was walking in the armor, and if I suddenly turned my head, the gun would move to where I was looking, but it was so heavy and had so much mass that it would throw me off balance as it was swung into position. So that made it very difficult to walk whenever the turret moved, and that's why I haven't installed a turret on the Mark 1 armor or any other armor since. But all these failures taught me lots of valuable lessons and got me closer to my goal of building my first fully operational working suit of superhero armor, the Mark 1. And speaking of the Mark 1, I ran into a few minor problems with the helmet which I've been building, which delayed that video another week. But I finally finished it and got everything working, so next week I'll upload the final helmet build episode along with another story. And I think you'll all like it because it turned out really amazing, and it's by far the most advanced helmet I've built so far. Oh, and if any of you are interested, I'm giving away a free downloadable PDF file all about this Mark 0.4 suit of armor. Just click on the link here or in the description below, or go to superheroarmory.com to download the free report.